Hello, so this question is interleaving string. So the idea of interleaving is what? Is using S1 and S2 reorder to make the string to S3. So this is the idea, right? The diagram. So you want to make sure, just imagine that this is a pointer for S1, this is pointer for S2. And then since they are not the same, right? So you know, okay, the first character of S3 is A, and then you move your pointer to the next one, and then you compare, oh, are they the same? No. So you want to make sure this match, right? So you move your pointer here, and then this is D, this is B. Alright, B might be interesting. Look at this. So I assign the D over here, right? And I move my pointer over here. So now, which B are you going to use? Are you using? So this is the current character we are trying to fill, right? Are you trying to use this one or this one? You have no idea, right? Because you don't know that what are the character after this, right? So you are supposed to find out all of the possibility to traverse. So it takes how much time it's going to take all of n times m. So what does n? N represent length of string 1, m represent length of string 2. You want to traverse all of the possibility to make sure the S3 can be interleaving of S1 and S3. So this question is definitely a DFS. Like you don't need to consider like any other solution. The DFS is the optimal one. So what are you going to use? So what are you going to code? So definitely you want to make sure the length has to match. So if they are not matched, you just return false. And how do I know like what are the characters I have been used, right? So you need a boolean. I'm gonna code is invalid. So what does invalid mean? Invalid is something. Let me just initialize. So I need to increment by. I need to add 1 is because the index is base 0, but we're not using the base 0 index. So we need an invalid invalid boolean array to the array to make sure which character are not satisfied to fill a list position. So imagine back to here. So we are trying to fill is list B or list B, right? Which one is the correct characters to fill a list to fill the S3 character position, right? So we know that this is not correct. So we make sure this is invalid array at list char you want to turn to true. Why? Because it's invalid. So by default this is all false. So every single character can be possible, be true, right? But once we find out this is not the correct number, correct character, we're going to make sure this is false, and then we will try to avoid in the future, right? So basically what I'm going to pass in is going to be the to char array. So it's S1 to char array. What's the index for the S1? It's going to be 0, starting with 0. And this will be the similar things, start with 0. And then I need to pass in, to char array. Come on. And I pass in 0, and this will be it, right? Because I have an invalid boolean to the array in global section. So okay, now what I need to do is public boolean because DFS is the boolean function. So first things S1 index I for S1, and then S2 for index J, S3 for index K. Alright. So if I start with 0, right? What happens if K is equal to the S3.length? This means what? We are fill all of the character into the string 2. So you'll return true over here. So there's things, if invalid is true, then I will just have to return false. So what is the invalid index? It's going to be represent ij, right? I represent S1, J represent S2, right? So this is pretty much it, right? So now we need to find what are the correct value. So I have a boolean valid equal to what? So I will either move my I pointer in string 1 or j pointer in string 2. This is the only two way, right? So definitely using the or, and I'm going to code I'm going to if I less than s1.length, right? And the current character, which is going to be s3 at k, is equal to s1 at I. If this is true, I can try the next character. So it's going to be dfs s1, and then I use the I character for here, so I will increment I character for this. And then s2 doesn't change, j doesn't change, s3 doesn't change, but k changed, right? K is using this, so I move my k pointer +1. So this is actually represent the I only, which is going to be the s1. How about the j? So if I do like this, would be easier. So j will less than s2.length, and s3 at k is equal to s2 at j, and dfs s1 doesn't change, I doesn't change in this, but j change, and s3, and then k +1. So this is how we find out. So by default, boolean valid is actually false, right? By default, right? And then we say equal to true only if this is happening, right? So if this is not valid, basically we just have to say, oh, invalid at ij index equal to what? True, right? Invalid index, right? For is not valid, right? So you just make sure you know what's the meaning behind it. So this will be pretty much a solution. It's a little bit complicated for sure, because you probably have to know that what are the character you are going to fill for s3 if s1 and s2 character are the same, right? So by thinking that way, you want to just make sure you want to try all of the possibility. If you want to try all of the possibility, you need to make sure you have the history, a boolean storage. You want to store, is this current character is valid or not, right? So we're making a 2D array, right? Boolean as a space, so it's going to be all of m times n, and then the time is this one. It's definitely all of m times n. You need to traverse every single character, right, to fill out s3. So this will be a time and space, right? So any question? If you have, leave a comment. See you next time. Bye.